Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Step Up to the Mic. This is the place for aspiring and established speakers to take the stage, deliver their talks, and bring them directly to you. Folks, today's featured speaker, he is an author. He's a national speaker. He's the host of the hit international podcast, The Warrior Servant Leader, and he's a consultant on the Warrior Servant Leader mindset at home, at work, and in your community. Please welcome to the stage Pat Welsh.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Pat Welsh, and I am here to ruin your day. So sit up straight, pay attention, because the lesson is about to begin in three, two, one, now. And you're sitting there thinking, who is this guy and what the heck just happened? Well, here's what happened, the unexpected. And it caused an emotional reaction from most of you. One of three things is probably what you felt. Some of you, I saw you. You were looking towards the exit and you're thinking, can I get out of here without him seeing me? We call that the flight response. Some of you, man, sat up straight, stuck your chest out, and go, you're not going to ruin my day. You're a mean guy, and I dare you to even try. We call that the fight response. Some of you sat there with a kind of the deer in the headlights look. You didn't know what to do or what to think. And we call that the freeze response. And you hear it all the time. We were raised when we're teaching kids about school shootings and different things. It's always fight, flight, freeze. Well, now that I have your attention, I want to share with you why I'm really here today. There's a fourth option when you meet the unexpected, when you're surprised, when you're challenged, when you're faced with obstacles. And the one thing that we all want in life, and you want it, I want it, as parents, we want it for our children. We want safety, security, prosperity, and control. And when any of those get challenged is when we have that reflexive, emotional reaction. There's a fourth way to respond and not react. I call it the warrior servant leader mindset. Now, some of you, you're sitting there going, okay, I'm glad you're not a mean guy. And I'm interested, what's this warrior servant leader thing about? Well, let me give you my definitions. A warrior is simply a person who stands up, shows up, and defends what they believe. It could be your faith, it could be your family, it could be your values, it could be your coworkers. Whatever you value, and you stand up, show up, and defend that. That's a warrior mindset. What's a servant mindset? Well, in my lifetime, probably the greatest example of a servant is Mother Teresa of Calcutta, now Saint Teresa of Calcutta in the Catholic Church. Read about her life and what she gave up to come to Calcutta and serve the least, the last, and the lost. That's a servant mindset. What's a leader? A leader is simply someone who, in a positive way, impacts and influences the lives of others. Now you're probably wondering, okay, I kind of grasp what you're talking about, but what does that really look like? Let me share a story with you. I was a cop for nearly 30 years. And early on in my career, I was on midnights and I was a headhunter. Man, I was out there. I wanted to catch bad guys, the violent criminals, the drug dealers, all that. Dayton, Ohio, at the time, we were the seventh most violent city per capita in the United States. So there was a lot going on. And on this particular Friday night, Saturday morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, I catch a call about a returned 12-year-old missing child. And I'm thinking what's going through my mind as I'm driving to the call is, man, I really would rather be out there catching bad guys doing real police work. And that was kind of my mindset. And as I pull up to this house, which was in a predominantly African American community, 90% was poverty, below poverty level. I mean, it was a bad neighborhood. And I pull up to this house, and it's almost like it was an oasis in the desert. The grass was cut, the bushes were trimmed, there wasn't peeling paint. It was a really nice home, and I was kind of surprised. So then I go up to the front door and I knock on the door, and both mom and dad answer the door. And my experience was these are almost 100% single parent families, mama raising her kids. And they invited me in the house, and the house was beautiful. And I talked to mom and dad, and I only had to do three things: make sure their son is actually home. I had to physically see him, make sure he's not injured, cancel the broadcast for him being missing. And then if he does it again, I tell the parents, call the police and we'll come out and take a report. So I do those things, and I'm getting ready to leave. And mom looks at me, and I mean, she looks beat down, exhausted. And she goes, we both work. We send our son to private school, paying tuition, which is why we can't move out of this neighborhood. But to have him in a private school to get a good education, but he's running with the wrong crowd of boys in this neighborhood. And she just takes a deep breath and says to me, we don't know what to do. Would you talk to him? So I'm thinking, whew, what's a 30-something-year-old white guy going to tell a 12-year-old young black male living in this kind of neighborhood that's going to make a difference? But I had that warrior servant leader mindset. I wanted to protect and serve. I wanted to defend this family, this young kid. I wanted to be a servant, put their wants and needs before my own. And I wanted to be a cop and a human being that was a person of influence and impact in this family's life. So I said yes. So they took me to a little sitting room, and they stepped out, and I grabbed a seat. And the 12-year-old, he came in, he's just shuffling on his feet like this, with his head down, never made eye contact with me. And I talked to him, but not like a cop. I talked to him like a parent. I probably didn't say anything his parents hadn't already said. And I was with him maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And I left. And I went out headhunting for bad guys. 18 years later, I'm off duty, my day off. I'm at Kroger's doing the shopping for the family. And the girl's checking my groceries out. There's this little old lady standing to my left, and some people behind her. I just wanted to get my stuff and head home. And this voice goes, hey, Welsh, is that you? And the first thing I thought of, there's only two people that call me by my last name: another cop from another agency, or a bad guy that I've arrested. Because the only thing on our name tag is our last name. So I turn and look, and I'm thinking, not a cop. It was a young 30-something black male, over 6 foot tall. And I'm trying to just rack my brain. What did I arrest him for? What am I going to do if he gets froggy? And this poor little old lady who is already starting to look concerned, what am I going to do with her? What if he follows me out to the parking lot? I don't have a radio. I hadn't brought a cell phone with me. And I'm thinking all that, but I go into the professional mode. And I turn to him and I said, yes, sir. And he goes, you don't remember me, probably. I go, no, sir, I don't. He goes, when I was 12 years old, you came to my house because I'd run away from home, I hadn't come home from school. And you sat down and talked to me. I just want to tell you that I graduated from college. I'm married. I have two daughters. And I want to say thank you. That's what the warrior servant leader mindset looks like in action. And I was so blessed and fortunate to hear the rest of the story, how my talking to this young child made a difference. And a lot of times we don't get to hear the rest of the story, but we still put on that warrior, servant, leader mindset, hoping and praying for the best. Now, you're probably asking yourself, okay, this is something I'm really interested in, something I want, but how do I get and develop that? How do I maintain that kind of mindset in today's chaos? It's real simple. You have to just do one thing. Just grab a taco. No, no, not a Taco Tuesday taco at the restaurant. Grab a warrior servant leader taco. Because this is what taco means to me. This is what it stands for. Take action, crush obstacles. So you're going to reach out there and you're going to grab a taco because here's what that taco contains. I call it the 4 R's. Do the right thing at the right time, the right way, and for the right reasons. Why do you do that? Because that is the motto. That is the roadmap. That is the challenge coin of life is of a warrior servant leader life is that's what you always strive to do. And sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes it's not going to end up the way we want it to. But if we always strive to do the right thing the right way at the right time for the right reasons, we have a greater chance of being successful. So here's what I want to do is challenge you. This evening when you get home, take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down the one thing right now in your life that you would either rather forget everything and run. You want to put on the boxing gloves and come out swinging and fighting, or you don't know what to do and you're stuck in that fight, flight, freeze dilemma. Grab a taco, write down what's that obstacle, what's that challenge, and then literally write out what's the right thing to do, what's the right way to do it, what's the right time to do it, what are the right reasons for doing it. And you know what you're going to have sitting in front of you? The roadmap to having a healthier, happier, and successful life. Thank you.
Pat Welsh, everyone. Pat, that was absolutely amazing. I loved that speech. Love to ask you a couple of questions real quick, if you don't mind, for the
Oh,
podcast.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
I love that story. I absolutely love that story. The how long had you been a cop when that happened? That story, if you don't mind me asking.
4 or 5 years.
Wow, so fairly new.
Yeah, I wasn't a rookie anymore, but yeah, I wasn't a veteran either.
No, but that showed an awful lot of wherewithal to be able to handle that, and what an amazing story. The warrior servant leader mindset. Now, this is your creation. This is your thing. How did you come up with this? Where did this come from?
um, Early in my career, I read some books on leadership, and then I had a guy from Santa Claus, Indiana, of all places, uh, give a training on leadership at our police department. And he talked about doing the right things at the right time, the right way, and for the right reasons. And that was his talk. And at the time, I was studying Sun Tzu in the Art of War. And what came to me was this concept of with Sun Tzu, he talks about the weather, the terrain, and different concepts in going to battle. And I had taken that and I started thinking, well, what's that look like? And that's how I came up with, well, You can be a warrior, a servant, and a leader all at the same time if you intentionally put your mind to it.
I love that. Absolutely love it. Now, you mentioned, when you want to put this into action, grab a taco. Now,
Yeah.
I loved that. I mean, I had my mute on, but I chuckled out loud because I loved it. And then I heard, what it meant, and it just clicked immediately for me. Take action, crush obstacles. I mean, that might have been the coolest taco I've ever come across, in my life.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with that, brother?
Uh, I started doing LinkedIn little 3 minute vignettes maybe 10 years ago or so. And I always did it on Tuesday. And it's like, oh, it's Taco Tuesday. And and I really meant tacos like tacos that you eat. And I would start off my LinkedIn, hey, Pat Welsh here, it's Taco Tuesday. And then I would go into a little, kind of 2 minute spiel on leadership or whatever. And I don't know where it came from. I like acronyms. And I'm looking at Taco. I go, well, what could that be an acronym for that would fit my messaging? And that's how I came up with take action, crush obstacles.
I love that. Very creative way to get that message across. Very effective too. So, in addition to doing all of this, speaking that you're doing and getting these messages out this way, you also have a hit international podcast. Now, you mentioned to me beforehand, share with everybody else, how many countries is this podcast in now?
We're 32 countries on 6 continents. The only continent we're not on is Antarctica, and I think it's because you can't get a signal down there.
Kind of hard to listen to a podcast
Yeah, yeah.
over that direction. All right. No, I love that. Now, how long have you been doing the podcast?
It'll be 1 year, March 3rd, 2026.
That's right. You got an anniversary coming up. Congratulations
Yeah,
on that. That's
thank you.
wonderful. The now with the big following you have from the podcast, in addition to that, you're also an author.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So tell us real quick what are the books that you have out there, and just briefly, what are they about?
I have 2 books that I've written. One's called Warrior Servant Leader, Life Behind the Badge, and it's kind of a reminiscing of my career. I wrote both books after I retired. And the second book is called Warrior Servant Leader, Life Behind the Cross. And I talk about, and I've shared this with you before, when I was 3 days old, I was abandoned in an orphanage in Dublin, Ireland. That's where I was born. My birth mother was a widow. And that second book is kind of a chronology of uh, me now looking back and seeing God in so many aspects of my life that at the time things were happening, maybe not so much. And then each chapter ends with a challenge for the reader of how what are you doing in your life, a Job moment or whatever. It's not just a book. It's almost like a workbook in a way, but I tell my story and then I challenge the reader to take control in their life for the same kinds of circumstances or situations they find themselves in. You're muted.
All these podcasts, I still can make a mistake. I appreciate that. The with all of this stuff that you have going on, I mean, you've got you're contacting all sorts of people, and you're spreading this message, quite a ways. Before I get to the last question, how can everybody reach you? Because I know I want to have some of this in the show notes, but tell folks, how can they get a hold of Pat Welsh?
All things Pat Welsh would be the warrior servant leader podcast.com. That's the easiest way. All my contact or on LinkedIn, Pat Welsh JD, initials JD on
Nice.
LinkedIn.
Okay, nice and easy, short,
Yep.
sweet, to the point. Perfect. Last question I have is about your mission and what you're trying to do here, between the books and the podcast and the public speaking and getting this message out. You've got a goal with doing all of this. You're trying to accomplish something. Share with,
Mm-hmm.
all of the listeners and viewers, what is it that Pat Welsh is trying to accomplish by, talking about the warrior servant leader mindset?
Well, I'm 68 years old. Yeah, I've been on a long journey and been through a lot of ups and downs. And I've shared some with you in the past. Our youngest son died serving overseas in the military. My wife was diagnosed with ovarian cancer back in '04. And there's been all these challenges and opportunities. And, and here's, here's the bottom line. I do this in all my training. We all have a life sentence. And it's the one sentence people are going to say about you at your funeral. I want people at my funeral to say, hey, Pat impacted and influenced my life in a really good way. And so it's that simple of a mission is I just want to make a difference in a very positive way in the lives of others by sharing my journey and hearing their journey and how I can help.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. All right, folks. Author, national speaker, host of the hit international podcast, The Warrior Servant Leader, consultant on the Warrior Servant Leader mindset at home, work, and in your community. Pat Welsh with us today. Pat, thank you so much for sharing your mission and sharing your message. This was absolutely wonderful, and I loved your talk.
Thank you.
All right, folks, this has been another fantastic episode of Step Up to the Mic. If you're an aspiring or current speaker and you want to bring your talk to the masses, message us today. Never stop talking and let us help you to step up to the mic.